The Therapist and the Coach podcast is a space for real relational conversations about what it means to be human.
In a world obsessed with fixing, achieving, and self help, we invite you to pause, lean in, and discover the wisdom already inside.
Together, we explore how healing, growth, and transformation can happen not in isolation, but in connection.
Through open hearted dialogue, we challenge the myth of self regulation and self improvement, offering instead co regulation, psychological safety, and the power of being seen.
Okay, so right before I pressed record, Oren said, "Wait, what are we talking about?" And we don't know.
We don't know. We
We
don't
don't
know.
know because we've had a bit of a break.
Definitely.
Life, we go with the flow, right? And, with life is lifing and we're moving and we're riding the wave. And it just meant that for ease, which we're committed to, we needed to just pause for a few weeks, which I know I missed you. So I'm glad to be back with you. Um, and so I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if we just talk about life today.
Yeah, let's just talk about life. We were talking about actually the just before we just push the button, we talked about we talked about the state a little bit of how the world feels right now,
Mm,
and it's very, very noisy right now, and the vibration is very different in the air, and
mhm.
it just feels different than I don't know for me any other time that I lived, throughout my life. That it just feels uncertain. Um, water is not calm, and it's just hard to know where the world is going, where we are, not trusting so much of what's happening, of the whether it's the media, it's the governments, it's today I just heard there was in Venezuela like a huge earthquake, double earthquake,
Where?
huge in Venezuela.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a lot of things are happening in every direction, and it's kind of hard to be anchored in these days, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, yes. And I appreciate the fact that we're just jumping in and reconnecting with ourselves because we went through some pretty big topics and we were on quite a roll. We were meeting every week. And I love that. And we're going to continue to do that. We'll have, a few breaks here and there, a week at a time, maybe throughout the summer. But the world, lifing and the world, I yes, there's a lot of noise. Right before we started, we were both nodding and agreeing that there's a lot of noise. There's so much social media. There's so many, I don't know about the therapist world, but in my feeds online, it's so many coaches seeking clients. And most of the outreach I get through social media is people wanting to sell me services. From a and not other coaches necessarily, but people who, as the coaching industry has grown, there's an industry that's grown to support coaches to be successful. So people selling different ways to do content and to, just like programs for this and programs for that. And there's just a lot and there's so many distractions and a lot going on in the world. Like you had this more meta view of the world, a lot of politically, a lot, but how that trickles down to us. We've touched on that in a few previous episodes. Uh, but man, I think it's really just time to get grounded. And you
Yeah.
brought part of our conversation as we were just reconnecting because we like to do that. Not necessarily that we plan our podcasts at all. We don't script them at all, but just our connection. Sometimes if I've had a big week or we've had a break, it's important to reconnect because, again, not from a scripted standpoint, but from a
No,
relational standpoint.
yeah, absolutely.
And then we can jump on and say, okay, what are we going to do? But
Usually
you,
we say you should. Well, you should talk about that.
I know, but we didn't have that today. It wasn't coming.
I
So
think we started with something that when we just reconnected, we started with something. Well, we can talk about that today, but then I forgot even what it was because we went to something else.
yes, yes, yes. And I think what I was just about to lead in to say was trust. Trust is
Mm,
something that's come up as a bit of, as a coach, I listen for themes. And one of the things that organically came up in our connection dialogue just before this was trust. And and then there was this other word, allowing, trust and allow, trusting and allowing things to unfold, trusting yourself to make the right decision, trusting yourself to be quiet, trusting like discernment. Those words seem to be alive in our conversation. I'm wondering if there's
yeah,
a topic in there that resonates with you.
yeah. I think all that you say is just kind of because we talked for a while and then we kind of got to a place when we said like I think we all need just a bit grounding, like as you said, like a bit rest
Mm,
from everything.
mm,
There's so much noise. There's so many people that are influencer, become and having opinions, which is great. But it's just so flooded with so much chaotic energy from everywhere that we kind of start being shaped. Many people are kind of like lost, tired, stressed without knowing so many times. Nothing to do with to do, but just stress from holding so much noise and there is no really ground to rest. And we were talking about that today actually, and I think we said like at least I said that when you are allowing yourself to be grounded, like allowing yourself, like take quiet time, just quiet, away from the phone a bit, away from the noise, away so many times from the news, from consuming constantly, because there's constantly that harrowing drug in the air of consumption, which is only tire us way more. And at these times, when you are grounded inside and you're quiet and you actually trust that things going to go the way they need to. We talked about it actually at the beginning that so many times we are going somewhere and we bump into something. It doesn't work the way we expected. And I said myself, when that happens, I don't really condone it. Like we learn from good experience and from not so good experience. If we learn from that, if we kind of stop and say, wait a minute, am I true to really what I want to say or where I want to be or what I want to do? Because all these moment to moment feedbacks
mhm,
are there. It's just like listening in general. When you talk about what is the art of listening, it's just actually listening with your heart, not with your ears. So it's the same thing, kind of listen to your art, to your heart. Are you doing really you? The voice that inside, that congruent with who you are, with what you need at this point of time. The more we tweak into that energy that is already inside us, but we might not listen because there's so much noise,
mhm,
then the more I think the quantum field is going to open to us. And then it just moves forward, maybe not in the way that we expected, because that's expectation has to do with that. Sometimes we set expectations and that's where I want to go. And if it doesn't go well, so something is wrong. Where it might be that you just need to pause and say, how do I feel, you, whoever that might be, feel about where it's going and how is it going? And just to listen to the inside because we so many times try, so what should I do here? And get consultants and get like, as you know, 10,000 people that tell us what to do and what not to do, where actually the answers really truly are inside. So despite of all this noise on that, and maybe because of that also, just kind of the answer for me is always like I'm going to my to I'm going inward in order to go upward. And so many times there's tweaks, the one of the things that I over the years that I love that I became capable of doing is actually stop when things are not really going the way I thought it was, not necessarily bad or good, but it doesn't resonate. Stop and just go to myself rather than outside for answers. And it's always there. And I know that because I feel all of a sudden way more energetic. Do you know the times when you're kind of doing really what you wanted to do, and then you feel like so energetic and excited, like we come here to talk about that. We love that. It's automatic. We don't have to really do anything about that. If we didn't, we probably should have stopped and kind of say like express ourselves and maybe it will go a different way. And the openness to that, to some things that might be different than what we expected or how they are, is so important. Because really, at the end of the day, there's, as usually you said, there's unlimited choices to make. But so many times we make the same choices that are getting us to the same place. So maybe just so many times, rather than find the answer, just asking questions. How am I with this, with whatever it is that comes up that gets you tired, gets you stressed? And then you ask, what do I need actually at this point of time? At this point of time. And if you really listen to yourself, it's right there. So it's actually many times, and especially in this day and age, we're looking for answers outside. And my goodness, we both know that we're bombarded with things, with opinions, with releases, with videos, with whatever, which is all wonderful because it's expression that, but at the same time, we so many times don't have the filter. And it becomes like an escape rather than being with ourselves and seeing what we actually need, not what offered. It's really a marketing thing. I mean, the world is the best marketing in the world right now, but there's no humanity there. There's no
Wow.
kindness.
Wow. It's all very self-centered and self-focused.
Exactly.
Um, wow. I would encourage anybody who's listening to this to pause and go back and listen to what Oren just said. You brought up so many important things. And so much is aligned with, I know, the therapeutic journey based on previous episodes where we've talked about the distinctions and similarities. And we left that behind a long time ago, but realizing there's really more similarities and at the root of everything, where the intention is to be with one another and to both self and co-regulate. And that's where all problems and all healing and anything one
Mhm.
desires actually transforms in relationship. It's not
Yeah,
reaching
because
out
when
with
we are in
oneself.
relationship and we feel
Yeah.
connected, nothing else
Yeah.
matters. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the answers are inside and to go inward. And and you've talked about noise. So I'm just going to reflect on all the things that you've said, encourage people to go back and listen again. And the reason I want to pause is that you and I can talk about this stuff this way, but we've been thinking about this and living these truths. I'm going to call them truths.
Hmm.
Um, as far as you and I are concerned, they're truths. Maybe someone else would have a different
Exactly. Yeah,
perspective.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
True to us.
um, True to us. And yet those words can bring up resistance, fear, a lack of understanding. Like when someone says the answers are inside, that's one of the coin phrases for coaching. It's the client is the expert. You are the expert of your life. You are the expert of your team. You have the answers. And those are words that for me used to carry a lot of meaning. But now I just say them and I forget the meaning. And I forget that some people might not understand. And I'm not saying that people are dumb. I'm saying that,
It's a
or,
great point.
are not aware. It's
Yeah,
just, what does
yeah.
that actually mean? So you've
Right.
said so much, and I'd like to unpack it a little bit because there's a number of places we could go and have a whole episode and have many episodes, as we usually find whenever we start anywhere and we start unpacking it. It's kind of like your new image you're painting in the
Well, you're
background.
poking
It's
somewhere and then it just
oh,
goes to the same
yeah,
end, to
you
the
start
same hub
somewhere and
anyway.
there's then all these interconnected pieces and it makes
Oh
this
yeah,
beautiful art. But
yeah.
so you talked about noise, and even that is, well, what kind of noise? So you talked about the clutter in the marketing space and how Facebook and LinkedIn has become very much a hub for everyone clamoring to be seen and to be, and I'm not guilty of it, but well, I guess, I am part of that noise, and yet my intention is to cut through that somehow with messaging, not with marketing, with messaging and with resonance and energy. Because in that noise, there's different levels of it too. Where I live, there's no streetlights. And something I've noticed as especially after COVID, a lot of people have moved out to our area and they're living year round because they can work from home or they can be remote.
Mm.
And and so what's happening, which I never imagined, is that people are leaving their outside lights on at night. And the impact to me personally is light pollution and noise pollution because it's so much louder and there's so many more cars and there's so much so because I've gone from complete silence and darkness to gradually over time it's become noisier in the light pollution and noise pollution
Absolutely.
aspect. So
Yeah.
and then there's the energetic, the frenetic, the energy that's behind the clamoring and the crowded social media spaces for people to be seen, see me, see me, see me. Our podcasts, the importance of being seen. And yet if I'm forcing to be like it's just all this outward noise and it's political noise. It's what's happening, globally in the earth, in the skies, in the like it's just there's so much.
There's so much.
And it all acts as a distraction. So there's, that in itself is really, what is the noise in your life? I'm looking at my desk right now, and my desk is uncharacteristically noisy. I know I've brought this up before, but I still haven't got it under control. There's just paper everywhere, and there's, and yeah. So
It's a
it's
very good
noisy.
point. Yeah, it starts with some getting clear physical environment,
Yeah.
you know.
The other thing that we don't see where things are noisy and there might be some pushback on this and maybe not, but I think it's worth saying because I have noticed a huge difference in my family since we started a practice of turning our Wi-Fi off at night. Um, that practice, I sleep better. I know my children sleep better. And we put our phone and that Wi-Fi goes off at 8 o'clock and my kids have never had data. I mean, that's just a choice that I've made. So there's no access to anything. They sleep better,
I love
so
it.
the
I
blue
love it.
light
Yeah.
impact, the noise and the research that says that the Wi-Fi shuts down our pineal gland, which if you talk about going inside and connecting with self, again, words that have a lot of impact for you and I, but what does that mean if I spend my whole day on a screen and or on social media and or trying to be seen out there in the world and filling space and trying to just, cut through the noise? Um, I'm not being conscious. I'm not and if my pineal gland, which I rely on for self-reflection, for self-awareness, for consciousness, for that human connect, like the energetic resonance and connection, if that's shut down because of the impact of Wi-Fi and other energetic unseen influences, then all these things are happening, and if I'm not aware of them and I don't have agency to do anything about them, then I can't go inside.
Right.
So I think that you really highlighted a place I know in my life. You really hit it when you started talking about noise today. And it got me thinking about all these different kinds. So I don't know if that's somewhere we land for our remaining time, um, or if there's somewhere else you want to go with this.
I'm thinking you're absolutely right. And I actually love what you're saying about the Wi-Fi because the moment you shut down, we can put sometimes the phone, but we have everything available to us.
Hmm.
I, for example, took TV off just completely because I don't, I have some things that subscribe to, but I took the TV off. So I don't have the option even to go into to the TV. So when you disconnect the Wi-Fi for quite a while, then you don't have anything on. And then you can't really escape, and then you go inside. What I'd like to say about the noise, when you talked about you gave the example from coming from a very quiet place into a little bit more lights, more that, more noise, more honking, all that. it reminded me that when I go to retreats, usually you go to spiritual retreats to meditation,
Mm.
it's on monasteries and they're very, very quiet. So for a week at least, I don't have any noise other than the bell that rings, the mindfulness ring that says every hour it
Mm.
rings for people, everybody stops and just immediately go to themselves. That's another thing that people can do. You can have like on your app, on your phone, those meditation go to every hour. They remind you to go back to yourself, to just stop for a second, to just stop and then come to yourself, go to yourself. Monks are doing that every hour. And they are very mindful, by practice. So, but what I wanted to say about that every time when I would go from the retreat back home. It happened to me when I lived in Santa Monica in Los Angeles, and I would go to the San Diego area to the Thich Nhat Hanh. Whoever knows that person who is not alive anymore, but there is a beautiful Buddhist, Vietnamese, and other Asian ethnicity, including white, obviously from all over the world. And it's down there in La Jolla, and it's very secluded. It's like an hour of away from 2 hours away from LA. It's very quiet. So every time I go back home, which usually would be on my motorcycle, which is noisy anyway, my ears would ring, and I would go back I would just channel into the freeways, and my head would spin. Like literally, I would have to adjust to the
Mhm.
noise, to the physical noise. And the contrast happen when you're spending a week without talking and with eating
Yeah.
mindfully and all that. But then you really actually, as you said, you kind of like connecting to how noisy it is, outside.
Well,
And
what's incredible though, as human beings, and I am interrupting you, so I do apologize, is how adaptable we are because within a short period of time, we'll adapt to that again.
yes,
But
yes.
it's we forget that because
We
we've
forget,
adapted, we forget the
yes.
impact it's having. We're
It's the same thing
so
about, yeah,
resilient.
yes, it's the same thing about food. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. We can start having a diet. All of a sudden, our baseline is much lower than when we need so much to consume because our system is expanding, and it's true to everything. And then we lose ourselves in a way. We're getting lost. We're very adaptive people. People
I
are
know.
adapting to anything. Yeah, it's like so we need to not forget that we live right now in a very noisy world. That most of the things are outside. There's like a marketing of everything from everything, including for coaches, for therapists, for whoever it is, and everybody becomes an expert on their own, whatever it is that they decided, but based on the clicks that
And
they
there's an
have.
energy of desperation that
And
is
there's energy of
undercurrent.
desperation, and then people get lost because they hear a lot of things, maybe sometimes that people become famous, but they really actually don't have a mind. Something I hear them say like, what is just I just heard it right now. It's really not resonating with me.
Mm.
But I want to also invite people, as you said, like you all these TikToks and all the social media. I invite people to share their stories, their experiences. I like the word experiencer.
Mm-hmm.
People ask me what it is like. I'm experiencing life. I'm an experiencer.
Hmm.
I'm not an expert in. I can't. I'm human. Might be an expert in this point of time with the
Hmm.
knowledge that we have that might be very different in 30 years.
Hmm.
So, but I can share my experiences, and when I do that, I speak from my own vibration to others who might connect to this vibration rather than tell them what to do or not to do.
Hmm.
And I would love the world to see. I would love to see in the world much more experiences because we all have stories. We all have amazing stories that we can learn and listen to each other and then see if it resonates with us rather than bombard us with information what we need and what we don't need.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring that up because everything we're talking about here is and I've been reluctant to say it, but every almost all the words we've used here are aligned with soul designs and the intent of that work to remember who you are. And the
Hmm.
remembering can't happen if it's too loud. And if we're seeking outside ourselves, again, all these things we've talked about,
So true, Lorraine, so true.
it's quite amazing where we've landed today, considering we did just jump in. And it's why I love you so much and why I love this space that we have, because I get to remember in the experience with you how everything is connected and
Yeah.
how it actually doesn't matter where we start.
No.
And that is something that also is really important for us to model and invite people to remember, is that just have the courage to start somewhere. Like just to
You need to
decide
be
one
right,
choice.
right.
Just where's the beginning today? Where is my energy today? Here's something. You've you've put out a couple little like a really brilliant question to ask oneself, to go back inside. You've put out the tool today of maybe setting a nice tone or a ring to remind yourself to check in, and how to
Hmm.
quiet and come back to oneself in within the chaos and the busyness. We
Yeah.
choose it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
everyone has the agency if you consciously decide to
Yes.
come home and return to oneself.
Yes.
And so now I
Exactly.
forget what I was going to offer. I was
Doesn't
so
matter,
happy to.
but that's exactly what it is. It's just to be, when we jump in, we are staying in the here and now rather than, well, sometimes you want to have an idea what you talk about, you can go with it. But really just kind of sharing, like,
I remembered. Sorry, I
yes,
remembered the
go
thing I was
ahead,
going to share. I
go
got so
ahead, go
excited
ahead.
in the reflecting on what you had offered. The thing
Yes.
I wanted to share is that one of the questions that changed my life that emerged in my journaling when I was doing my work, my personal work. So it was around when I was 20, 21. It was pre-coaching. Um, and I realized that my life was based on an image of who I thought I should be. You also talked about expectations.
Yes.
Shoulds reflect expectations, not
Yes.
necessarily our own all the time. Often the expectations we think others are holding for us, or we've interpreted people have for us, or
Correct.
we've learned, or we've
Correct.
been told. I mean, all those
Yes.
different things. This question transformed how I approach life. And the question is, what do I feel to do today?
I like that.
Where do I feel to start?
Hmm.
Where is my beginning today? Those
Hmm.
three questions, like that version of the same question, is kind of what you were talking about, as far as just doesn't matter where you start. It's like just jump in and it's okay, and trust yourself. And trust and confidence comes from finding out that if
Yes.
you just follow the next moment and trust that you're an expert, like you were saying, in this moment, and in the next moment, you
Yes.
don't have to be, but you
You're
know what
ready.
this moment is, and
Exactly.
follow it.
Moment to moment. Lorraine, I had it was
It's
one.
so fun.
It is, for example, yesterday, which happens to me so many times, I have a gym downstairs in my home. So I decided yesterday evening that I need to go to work out today, this morning. This morning I woke up. I immediately knew because I kind of felt myself like, not going to happen. And you know what? It's not going to happen. It's okay. I'm going to do something different. So, first of all, to be mindful, you said, like, what? How do you know what it means to be inside? Sense yourself, sense your body.
Mm,
It's all there. It will tell you your body is connected to everything. It's
mm,
all alive, it's all one. So, listen to your body. It's like, how are you doing today? So, you might wake up in the morning sometimes, and which happens to me, it's like I want to go on a motorcycle ride. It's a beautiful day. I have some energy. That's what I want to do. All the things that I thought I'm gonna do, not gonna happen, and I'm fine with it. And I'm fine with that. The thing that we so many times you mentioned the should, and I don't know if I mentioned it throughout our life here. I
probably.
don't like the word. I don't like the word should.
No, no, because okay, I'm sorry. And what is it about the word should that you don't like?
Because the word should is getting you away from what you actually want. It's like somebody actually tell you, oh, you should go to do this. It's like, well, you can invite me, but I need to see if it resonates with me at
Yeah.
all, or if it's like, you should go to the gym every day because it makes you feel that. So many people don't really like that. It's not their thing. They suffer from that. My son is one of them. There is no way you can get into the gym. He's just not that person. He has his gym in a very different way. He goes ice skating, you know,
Yeah.
and that's his gym. And I encourage him and everybody else to find what's
Find
their
your way.
way, your way. Because when it comes should, you put in a way in order of somebody to do something that did you ask them if that's what they want or even if it's good for them? That's the relationship part where there is a division when we are coming and teaching people how to be rather than talk about our experiences. So usually people think that I'm the expert. So like, so Oren, what should I do? And I said, like, I can tell you what I do, but I don't know if it's right for you. Maybe we can explore.
Beautiful.
So the word should is like immediately getting me to be resistance. Like I don't want anybody to tell me should, nor do I want to tell you you should to do anything. We're not doing it.
Well, it's more noise,
It's more
which
noise. It's
is
more division. It's
another
division. It's division.
it's division, and it's one of the things that keeps us in that space of imposter syndrome and out of alignment. So
Right,
so
right,
that
right.
so I love where we've landed as always. We started talking about trust and we ended up a lot, noise came to the surface because really trust comes from building that relationship with self. And if there's all this noise and I can't connect and so I just organically some really neat and useful and powerful, actually quite profound tools have emerged organically as we've been talking. So I encourage people who are either just, coming in at the end of this or go back and listen to this recording because or this podcast because there are some very useful tools. And I'm going to say one of the major takeaways from this is that should piece. It was transformational to
It's transformation.
realize that I had been shooting on myself, haha, um, and that I didn't need to do that, that that was a choice and that there was another way. And that's actually where my self-trust began. And I start to build confidence and encouragement within myself, and trust has come from that. And I think I might even return to that practice a little bit this week because in all the noise and all the busyness of my life that I've got, I've allowed
Lost. You're
myself
getting
to get
lost in
swept
it.
away.
You're getting
Because I
shuffled with
came
it.
in today saying, "Oh, I'm so glad we're together. You're my anchor." And you said, "Yes, I'm your anchor. I'm here." And I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean that you're my anchor? And why do I need you to anchor me when I know I've got me?" And it's because I lost sight of myself for a little bit, graduation and, the end of school year and just the life is lifing and the International Coaching Federation changes and all this stuff that's come down. But there's always an opportunity every
It's always
moment.
coming back home.
Yes. And every moment is an opportunity to choose something different.
Exactly. And so many times we're getting lost in the things and we're not mindful of that and we forget that we have the choice. But
Yeah.
then that reminder, that gong or whatever it is to turn on the Wi-Fi, to turn the switch off mindfully, to decide that that's what I'm going to do in order to have the ingredients, the peace to get back to myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Yes.
something that we can actually master.
Well, and let's just really highlight the story that you brought forward between going on retreat and being coming connected with self and the peace and the contentment and the moment and then coming returning back to the city and how impactful that was
Yeah.
and and how within a week you don't notice it anymore. So,
No.
where is that true in your life? Where have you simply adapted to all the noise and have forgotten or lost connection? So, I appreciate that the opportunity and the choice is emerging and that we're offering that to whoever's listening to this podcast or watching it.
And to have some just to kind of like I know we need to wrap up, but
Yeah.
um, just to because we come in, let's say that we come from a huge diet and where our body doesn't really want to eat as much, but before we even know, we're going back to the sugar, we're getting weight again, the hunger. That's the same thing with so many other things. Just like with the mindfulness, and you're just in quiet space, and then you go back to the city. It's like, oh my God, everything is so loud. I think we just, and we all do that, that swinging. Sometimes we go from this to that, but I think the idea is just to be mindful that we need balance, that we can be, in social media or enjoy some things but we also need other things. We need quiet. We have way more of the noise than quiet
And then we're
time.
not even aware of it. We're
And we're
just
not even aware of that.
surrounded, we're
So
immersed in
just to
it.
be aware of it right now, as people watch that,
Mm.
I think will hopefully get people to hold everything together, not necessarily this or that, but to allow somehow a balance life being connected to the outside, to whatever you want to actually connect, but also don't underestimate. The most important is to really connect to you inside, and that requires quietness,
Mm.
that with a stillness, awareness that what's happening inside me. Why do I do what I do right now? Am I escaping? Am I connecting? What do I get from that? And not having judgmental part of it, just kind of being more aware of that, and that by itself will get you more to what you actually need at this point of time.
As a practice,
It's
bit
a
by bit,
practice. It's
as a
it's being
per-
mindful of that. Yeah,
and just without expectation, just one choice at a time, whenever you're able,
mhm.
and um, and let go of any judgment around where you think you, here we go, should be or should
So many
be.
times I'm saying, like, if you're judgmental, if you find yourself judgmental, be aware of the judgment. We call it meta.
Yes.
You're right, it's the awareness of the awareness. So
Yeah.
just sometimes I feel like, oh yeah, I am judgmental right now. And I'm just leaving it there. I'm just aware that by itself just dissipate that. And so many times we are judgmental from past experiences, and we're can be aware of that. You don't have to fight that. We just be aware of that enough.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, as always, thank you so much. I've missed you.
Thank you.
I've missed our conversations.
I'm glad we're back
And
home.
pardon me.
I'm glad we're back home.
We
We are back.
are.
We are
We've
back. We are
returned.
back. We are back home.
Yeah. It's wonderful to have you home and to be back home with
Honestly,
you.
listen.
In closing, I would just like to encourage everyone to take a moment and reflect on anything that resonates with you from this podcast.
Exactly.
And Oren and I are very aware that we also could be contributing to the noise by putting out this podcast, and that we're very clear in our intention is that we are not intending to contribute. Our intention is to offer something useful and a place for people to land and to start that return.
Exactly. And just enjoy without trying so hard to get
Mhm.
anything. I just like us all be together. You know.
Well, your words are very potent, and your words were give people a place to come and just rest.
Exactly. Exactly. Come here to
Beautiful.
rest with us. Doesn't matter even what you remember or not, just come here to rest with us. And
Nice.
that will charge you for as much as possible.
Nice.
Love is right here.
Love it. All
So
right, Oren. We'll see you next week,
we
or
will see
I think
next week. Yeah, I think. Oh, maybe the week after that. I'm not
I
sure.
think the week after. We
The
are
week after
taking
that.
only
So we
because of
take
our
it.
schedules, and then
Yeah,
we'll be
yeah.
back on track. Okay. Bye.
Bye.